Sports Talk Chicago. Here with Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's a sports radio pioneer, host of The Odds Couple on ESPN 1000, and a contributor to the Barroom Network. Please welcome Mike North to the program. Mike, great to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing great, John. It's good to have you on too, buddy. We're doing a great service to everybody. We're going to actually tell the truth about the Chicago Bears, hopefully, today, and anything else you want to talk about.
So, Mike, what was your reaction to the loss on Sunday?
Predictable. You can't enter a season where you got rid of a playoff quarterback. Now you bring in two new quarterbacks. You still have a quarterback there that has a bust, let's face it, in Nick Foles. You got a defensive coordinator who's never been given a job or been sought after, as far as I know. He's been with them, the Bears, since 2013. So you have a lot of dynamics. I noticed that Mitch is gone. Now everybody's concentrating on what I thought everybody should have been concentrating last year on. Eddie Jackson, the defense, the lack of aggressiveness, the play calling, the situation where substitutions are a mystery. Montgomery rattles off 3 great runs and you don't see him for 12 carry. I mean, it just they put some guy in from the Chiefs. You got to make up your mind. They don't even know who the running back is, it seems like. So it's been a debacle. They backed themselves into a corner. And now I'm hearing that if he does start Justin Fields, then it may be after the 4th game. Well, look at their schedule after the 4th game, folks. It's no cakewalk.
Did Dalton's showing vindicate Mitch Trubisky?
Well, he's not taking that much heat. Everybody wants to see Justin Fields, but if Trubisky would have had the game Dalton did, he'd be getting ripped apart. That's the whole point. He'd be getting killed. And you got the same messengers that all of a sudden are going to brag about a 3-yard run by a quarterback who's known for running, who's athletic. Okay, a lot of guys. I've seen a million of those touchdowns, from RG3 to Michael Vick to Fran Tarkenton. I'll name them all. So it's just a joke. The bias, the preferential treatment, the coddling. I said today on Twitter, and you go to North, that for 7 decades, the mainstream press in Chicago, a lot of the main Bear writers here now, have been owned by the Bears.
How'd you feel about that touchdown? Because Dalton drove all the way downfield. That was a successful drive on Dalton's part, but he gets no credit because Fields just ran it in.
Well, that wasn't the first thing. I think the very first drive. Why are you putting Fields in that early? Well, let your new quarterback drive the team down the field and actually score the touchdown himself. You take away rhythm. You take away any type of continuity by throwing a wrench into the spoke. You know what I mean? And then you bring the guy back. That continuity's gone. I thought to get him in that early was foolish. Let Dalton establish himself, but Nagy doesn't do the right things. He always steps on his you-know-what.
You retweeted one of my tweets. I talked about not having 2 quarterbacks. When you have 2 quarterbacks, the team never really goes anywhere. Why can't Nagy commit to one guy?
Well, when you have 2 quarterbacks, really, you have none. That's the saying. You have none. If you can't decide what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying, look, I've seen other players, quarterbacks come out this past weekend and they put in another quarterback for 1 or 2 snaps and stuff like that. I'm not going to say that's the worst thing in the world. Okay, it's when you do it, how you do it. You're on national TV. You got one drive that one drive, and you got to put him in then. So he doesn't do anything right. And I got to be honest with you. I know that we were a good field goal, or we were good, the double doink away from being better than we were. I think Mitch would still be here. The one thing that's still a mystery to me is why we still can't get to the bottom of what really happened with Nagy and Trubisky. And I know it's after the 3rd game. But we got nobody for Trubisky, and I'm here to tell everybody. I watch football all over the country this week. Trubisky's better than Danny Jones. Now, that's just one guy. I can name you 5 or 6 more. And you may say, hey, you know what, Mike? You don't know what you're talking about. Just look at the numbers. I watched Danny Jones. I watched Lamar Jackson fumble 3 times. You know what they would have done in this town? I know Lamar Jackson's won an MVP. Okay, I know that. He was a phenomenon. But if Trubisky fumbled 3 times in one game, he'd be destroyed.
I can't even imagine.
Right? So let's just knock the BS off. I see quarterbacks all over the league. Okay, that next year, one of these teams will have Mitch Trubisky as their starter. He will not be a backup and a career backup like the meatball fans think.
Who's most to blame for the loss on Sunday, Mike? Nagy or the defense?
Well, the players play, but the scheme was horrible. They don't scare anybody anymore. The bite's been taken out of them. They're vanilla. I think that it stops at the head coach. I mean, I like Dick Duran as much as I liked, and he made the playoffs. I liked him. It's really hard for me to say this. I liked Wannstedt more than I like Nagy.
Really?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because Trubisky's not here. I don't think Wannstedt would have been that stupid.
Wow.
He wouldn't have. I mean, I don't understand how we kept Cutler for 8 years. If Mitch Trubisky was held to a 29-21 record and let go after 50 starts, how is a guy allowed to stay and go 57-57? But I will also say this in deference to Jay Cutler, and people may say this, all of a sudden, we got rid of Mitch. I thought that was the big problem. Now everybody's complaining about the other quarterback. Okay? Bear fans can't judge quarterbacking because we got rid of a quarterback that we developed. Just look at Mitch Trubisky's stats. I've talked about this before, but nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody. But that's the truth. We developed the quarterback. It would have been better to have Trubisky play in his 5th year with the Bears and draft Justin Fields anyway. If you can do it for Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love, if you can draft a quarterback while you have Aaron Rodgers, you can't do the same with Mitch. That would have been the smart way to go instead of bringing a backup. And that's what he was last year. And once again, doing the Foles and Glennon shuffle.
And they would have saved money, too. If they kept Mitch, maybe a $2 to $5 million deal, you could have started him, then eased in Fields, and it would have been better. But I think the media, and Matt Nagy specifically, would not have liked that move.
No. He wants to fail. Nagy wants to fail. He had a guy there that got him into the playoffs 2 or 4 years. He replaced him when he shouldn't have. He can't get out of his own way. He's sabotaging his own deal. Bottom line. And it's going to happen because I'm here to tell everybody, I don't think Justin Fields will ever be as good as Trubisky or Cutler. And I wasn't a Jay Cutler guy. He'll never be Jay Cutler.
Why do you say that, though? What have you seen to justify that statement?
What have you seen to actually tell me I'm wrong?
Nothing. But what have you seen to say it's correct?
No, but the problem is you're with everybody else. You think he's a can't miss. Is he a can't miss?
Yes. No, I think there are some issues with Justin Fields, mainly reading defenses, which we saw in college a lot, especially with pressure.
See, it's up to you to tell me why he's going to be great. It's not up to me. He's played 3 plays. You tell me why you think he's going to be all that. Everybody tell me why you think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Tell me why he dropped, John. Why did he drop? Why didn't he go? Why didn't he get picked before Trevor Lawrence? Why didn't he get picked before we moved up and Mac Jones? Is this another deal like that?
Well, they did claim.
I'm here to educate you guys. It's not up to me after I was right about Mitch Trubisky to now explain to you why I might be right about Justin Fields. You guys have stepped, not you, but a lot of people have stepped on their own so-called dicks 3 or 4 times with Glennon, Foles, and everybody else. So why do I have to think that I have to justify myself? I've been right all along. And you know, that's the bottom line.
We got to make sure we edit that out for clarity. We're on FCC now, Mike. We're on television now, but that's okay. I'll do that later. Mike,
I'm sorry about that, buddy.
Mike North here on Sports Talk Chicago. Mike,
I don't know where I'm at. I don't know if I'm on a podcast. I don't know if I'm on radio. I'm on the Hollywood. I'm on the TV. I'm running over here. I'm over there.
This is now on television. Mike, you're the first guest I got on my new TV show.
I love it. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, 100%.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I knew all about it. I'd be having fun. Why can't you keep that? There's nothing wrong with that.
We'll have to have the judges decide over at the FD.
All right, yeah, well, I know all about judges. I know that, okay.
What do you think Justin Fields comes in?
Well, I didn't want him to ever come in. I wanted him to do well. I wanted Dalton to win, and if they win, then. But see, here we go again. I don't care if he comes in; they're not going to win because they don't have a good defense. Their defense is done. I watched Fuller with Denver this week. Played great. How do you get rid of that guy? He was one of the. He followed Peanut Tillman, didn't he?
Right.
And he's done a pretty damn good job. Bro, I said, what, that guy's available? Batting down passes, they win the game, causing fumbles, making tackles. So it's about the whole organization. You got the same guys making every decision on quarterback, from the front office to Nagy and Pace. And what's happened? Nobody wants Andy Dalton, okay, until they may see Justin Field. And what's Nick Foles doing? Under contract.
He wasn't even dressed. He wasn't even dressed on Sunday.
I mean, to me, it's nowhere. It's a nowhere situation. They put themselves in a tough spot. They really did. They backed themselves into the corner with Andy Dalton. They have. Now everybody's going to want Justin Field to come in. What happens if he comes in and he doesn't do well? Whatever. Now, hopefully he'll do well. I compare him to RG3. That's the closest guy I can compare him to. And if he stays healthy, fine. But if you're going to be running like he did the other day, which was fine, you're not going to last long. You know, Michael Vick, how long did he really last? I mean, I know he had other issues, but how long do some of these guys last?
4 or 5 years at most. 4 or 5 years at most in a good setting.
Hopefully, I mean, if he could become Michael Vick, I mean, or somebody like that, it would be tremendous. Look, we want the kid to succeed. It's just, who's he going to have around him? I mean, Allen Robinson, those patterns were outrageous. They didn't really put him in a good position, did they?
That's all play calling. That's all Matt Nagy in his playbook.
That's exactly right. And, you know, Trubisky made Matt Nagy's offense look actually pretty decent. And now, I don't care whatever you're talking about. If it was Foles, if it's going to be Justin Fields, if it's going to be you know, any quarterback, Dalton, any quarterback that they've brought in has not made his offense look as good as Mitch did. That's the bottom line. And then they couldn't wait to get rid of him. So we'll see what happens. But the Bear team is bad. The coaching is bad. They look the same. Dalton averaged 6 yards a pass, folks. Come on. I thought this was all Mitch's fault. Right? Wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. He's in Buffalo going, I may get a chance to play sooner rather than later if Josh Allen gets one of those little problems.
What do you think happens to this team for the rest of the year, Mike?
Man, they could come and beat Cincinnati this week. They're -2.5. To me, -2.5. If they win this game, okay, they're 1-1. They're playing 17 this year. If they lose this game, and you know, Joe Burrow's looked good last week. Another guy that's already pretty well developed. I mean, injuries are injuries, but he bounced back pretty good. But I expect a better effort. We're not playing the Rams. I think the Bears, I took them under 7.5, but I didn't bet anything on it. If they go over, surprise me.
No, I want to talk about the defense too. Khalil Mack had no tackles on Sunday. Eddie Jackson had a couple of blown coverages downfield. How do you explain this entire regression? Because it's pretty shocking to me to see them go from 2018 to where they are now.
Well, Vic Fangio was when Vic Fangio was here, it was a different type of mentality, sort of like with Buddy Ryan,
right,
when he was with the Bears. Then he left and Vince Tobin came in. Well, we got Pagano coming in. Now we got this guy who's never been a head OC. You got Pettin, the senior guy. You don't have the bite, John. You don't have the intimidation. I'm not afraid of Khalil Mack if I'm a quarterback. I'm not. I mean, whatever you're doing to stop him, apparently they're watching on film, and apparently, you know, listen, it's hard to believe his best game might have been his first game as a Bear. And it's been downhill ever since, even though he's had some decent numbers. I hear people say he's still one of the best. Last year, I did not see that. And I don't see it this year. Akeem Hicks, you need him for Green Bay. He didn't show he didn't play in one Green Bay game. Roquan Smith didn't play in another Green Bay game. You need your best hands on deck. That being said, I watched the Green Bay game. So there's a long way to go. Nobody's got to win. Detroit, like I predicted, didn't give up. They only lost to San Francisco by 8. Thank you for that cover. I thought I was a dead man. So it's a different division. Where 8, maybe 9 wins is going to win, maybe. So we'll see what happens because the Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't seem too good right now.
How shocking was that, by the way? I was very surprised to see Rodgers struggle that much and have Jameis Winston outplay him.
Well, nobody expects either one, but they said that if Rodgers had taken, because of turnovers and stuff, which he had, if he had thrown every ball into the ground, he would have had a better quarterback rating than he did. So, but because of the turnovers and stuff. So, Jameis Winston did outplay him. I think it's a Green Bay problem. I don't think it's just an Aaron Rodgers problem, but Aaron Rodgers doesn't help things. They have started like this before, so I'll just say wait and see if they win this week. Everything's back to normal.
You think they're still the favorite to win the division, right?
Right now, and you got Detroit. Minnesota loses a tough game to Cincinnati. I said Detroit would be a surprise. I'm not going to back off that. I have the Bears winning under 8 games, so it's anybody's. It's really not the division it used to be.
Is that a shock to you? I mean, it's much different than it was before. Usually the North was one of the stronger divisions in football. This year, it's at least right now the weakest. Everyone's 0-1.
Yeah, everybody's 0-1. We'll see what happens. Everybody could be 1-1 next week, or everybody could be close to that. I mean, there might be a team that's 0-2. I'll wait. I'm not going to go off of 1 week. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to have that type of game. I don't think they fully prepared Green Bay. I know that Rodgers didn't play. That's been my big argument. A lot of the quarterbacks, this is no kidding, folks. And John says, Mike, I need you. You do your homework. You know what you're talking about. I need you on my new. This is my TV show, YouTube, the whole ball of wax, lights fly, flashing, flash bulbs and everything else. Bottom line is, when you talk about quarterbacking in the National Football League, okay, and predicting in the National Football League, it's really tough. Tennessee looked horrible. Green Bay looked horrible. New Orleans looked like a Super Bowl team. There was one constant, Tampa Bay and Kansas City. By the way, Kansas City is 1-10 covering the spread in the last 11 football games. They didn't cover this week. They were sick. Cleveland was 6.5. And so they didn't cover this way. They win because of Patrick Mahomes, period. No quarterback except Brady, apparently, and I'm not going to argue against him, is more important. Maybe there's the argument he's more important than Brady to his team than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good team, but, they made a lot of mistakes, and who brings them back? He does.
Because their defense is atrocious, and it's gotten worse every year.
And that's why you need a quarterback like Mahomes to get away with that stuff. See, the fear here, like with Fields, is that if he does turn out to be okay by year 2, year 3, the defense is going to stink. It stinks now. They're all long in the tooth. They're all dinosaurs. We saw this coming in the last year or 2. Bottom line.
Could that expose Matt Nagy? I mean, the defense has carried him to all these wins, and no one's really fixated on the offense too much until recently. Could that hurt Nagy's argument as a good coach if the defense can't prop him up?
They have fixated on the offense. It was all Trubisky's fault. Now everybody's going to find out the sad, pathetic truth that and it's the truth.
Right.
I've been doing this for a long time, folks. I know a bum offense when I see it. I know it. And Komet's a good ball player, but who are their star players? Who are their playmakers? Allen Robinson, I said, was going to have trouble this year. New quarterback, double teamed a lot. Mooney, 6-yard patterns. They don't stretch the field. Your strength is your tight ends. Do you play with double tight end sets? Maybe you put Graham on one side or Horsted along with Komet. Montgomery's not a game breaker, but he's a hell of a running back. So now, once again, everybody thinks it's not the quarterback position. It is. So we'll see what happens.
You know what I don't get, Mike, and maybe it's just me. It seems like the Bears could never just drive downfield. I mean, the Rams went 80 yards in 2 minutes on Sunday. The Bears, it took so long. It took 16, 17 plays. Why is it the case that it's always different for them? They just can't drive downfield and rip off a big play. It's pretty frustrating.
Well, what they do, John, is they throw short passes, a lot of short passes, a lot of runs. They're very predictable at times. People that want to start Justin Fields, go ahead. Nagy won't have a leg to stand on in a couple of weeks, especially if they lose this week. And Dalton doesn't look bad. Good. Look, like I said, he had no touchdowns, 1 interception. If Trubisky has this game, he is pillaged all this week. Pillaged. Instead, I hear Nagy saying, he did some really good things, smoothing over. There was no smoothing over for Mitch. None. Nobody ever smoothed things over in this town for him. And that's the sad part.
Do you think Nagy makes it to the end of the season?
Here's what I would say. I think he will. It's the hierarchy. They need a whole cleansing. Ted Phillips, all these other people need to go. They've been here forever, John. And what have we had? I mean, it's ridiculous. Somebody suggested Peyton Manning. I'm up for anybody. I'm up for the 4 guys at Dunkin' Donuts today talking about the Bears taking over. Because you can't fail on your quarterback selections as much as this team has. You just can't. And Justin Fields, we'll see what happens. But he's not going to have a whole lot around him. They don't have a whole lot of star players. Look at Mitch. I don't care if it was preseason or not. Look how good he was with people around him. He was a 6 touchdown. He had 6 touchdowns in 1 game with the Bears. Think about that. So we'll see. This is an Emmy. Do they give Emmys? This is Emmy.
I agree. It should be.
Should be, I'm telling you. The hair don't look too good, Tate. Looks like a bad toupee.
Mike North here, still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Mike, a few more questions before we finish up. First off, how was your birthday weekend?
Oh, it was great. It's always great. September 10th, of course, you got college football. You got the pro football always on that weekend. We did have 9/11. That makes you realize how lucky you are. I'm very blessed. Ate a steak. I drive a Cadillac. What else are you going to do? I got a house. I'm happy. That's it.
Next year's going to be a big one, right? Any plans in mind?
Yeah, getting there. That's my first plan. Let's hope that works, and then we'll take it from there, Johnny boy.
Mike, before we finish up today, last question.
Take your time.
Does Drew Brees have a bad toupee?
Well, somebody said it's hair restoration. Whatever it is, it doesn't look good. It's uncomfortable. It just doesn't look good. He lost a thing under his eye. That's good. Cosmetic surgery, always a good thing. But the hair thing should have gone bald, man. BLM, Bald Lives Matter. I don't wear a toupee. My hair just looks bad.
Mike, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure to have you on, and best wishes moving forward. Can't wait to do this again soon.
All right, pal. Anytime. Sorry about the editing problem.